taking over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall Coast to Coast in the biggest way possible right here on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty. We're going to get the Prime Minister in here in a little bit. We got Go for the Two, Joe Lisi later on, a cast of thousands today on C2C. We have a very busy day. It is a Golf Wednesday. We will have all the picks for the PGA and LIV as well. We got Brady with the LIV today. Cam will give his picks for the Travelers. We've got Keith Stewart later on. He will give his picks for the Travelers too. In fact, I'll give you the entire lineup right now. Why don't we? Gabe's with us every day. He'll be here in the first hour. Cam's with me in the first hour today, as usually the second, of course, as we know. But he'll be with me in the first, and we'll do all the Travelers picks. Brady Cannon at the end of the first hour. We'll have Coach Young with the lion's share in hour number 2. And then Keith Stewart from beautiful Cromwell, Connecticut. TPC River Highlands as the Travelers gets ready to tee off tomorrow morning. We have some afternoon baseball. We got baseball tonight. The Stanley Cup final has extended to a 6th game, and the drama builds after the Panthers had a 3-0 lead. They got to take that long 6.5-hour flight back up to Alberta. I'm sure everybody was thrilled about that last night. So we have a lot to do today, that's for sure, on C2C. As I mentioned here in the first hour, I do have, for the second day in a row, the Prime Minister with me at the top of the show, Cam Stewart. Cam, good to see you as always.
Always a pleasure, Carver. I like to see the first tweet. I got a Reynolds home run with Sam Burns in golf. That's what you do, Carver. Turning $10 tickets into $2,500 masterpieces.
Wow, let's hope so.
Yes,
let's hope so. But on Sunday at 6 o'clock, Cam, we'll find out if they're that kind of a masterpiece.
Hey.
But it's a put it with the Golf Wednesday. And Brian Reynolds, by the way, he provided the only offense in that Pirate Red game. That is a final 1-0. Pirates beat the Reds. Reynolds hit the homer in the bottom of the 8th, Cam. I did have it as a put it with the golf play with Mr. Burns to win the Travelers this week. So we have a nice fat ticket on him now to take us into the weekend. So I'm a big Mr. Burns fan, Cam.
Yep.
As we get going, Mr. Burns, Cantlay, all the guys I usually root against. I'm going on the other side this week, Cam. I can't wait.
Who cares? It's about money, Carver. It's not about if you like Cantlay waddling around for 50 minutes before he hits a damn ball. We also got we could have boring World Cup soccer, 2 snooze fest. Hey, you know me, the Prime Minister. He's Scottish, so Scottish and Irish. My family is, so gotta take the Scots plus a half on the Asian line and +1 with a little bit of juice against Switzerland. And so far they've come out pretty hot. They're taking the game to the Swiss. The Swiss like a nice boring snooze fest, a 0-0 or a 1-0 type of game here, Carver.
Well, like you said, Cam, right before we came on, and yes, Scotland and Switzerland is the afternoon Euro delight that we have here on Coast to Coast. And these are 2 teams that normally don't play with much pace. They play a slow-down game. They play a heavy-in-the-box game. And you mentioned Scotland lost 5-1 to Germany in their opening match. So they really can't afford to sit around and lose 1-0 to the Swiss. So they have to actually push a little bit of tempo here. We'll see if they can. They're 5 minutes in over there in Germany between Scotland and Switzerland. Croatia and Albania, 2-2 draw today. That was an exciting game. Germany beat Hungary 2-0. They have already advanced into the knockout round. So a very busy day at the Euros, Cam. And it sounds like you said, you've got a lot of Scottish backing here in the nightcap.
Yeah, more of a heart play there, Carver. But I'll tell you, anything can happen. You told me, the Scots were not even that bad. But the problem is, once you get down to Germany, 5-1, and now the Germans taking care of business again, 7 goals, 4-1 against. They've been absolutely fantastic in this tournament. So maybe that loss isn't so bad. And, we'll see what happens today between Scotland and Switzerland. Switzerland will definitely want to boring this game up, and Scotland has to take some chances. But I think Scots, maybe as an underdog, getting some plus money looks pretty good, damn good to me. And Florida and college baseball, Carver, I told you I've been doing really well with this college baseball stuff. We get the Seminoles, so we got the whole state of Florida covered. We got Gainesville. The Gators took care of business today. Lots of runs in that one. So college baseball, the NCAA College World Series has been great to me. I should just stick to betting that and have Carver-style accounts going there and put more into the golf.
They and those games have been flying over too, Cam.
Yeah,
the
time.
overs in those college World Series games. So Florida won this morning. They now have to play again tonight, 7 East against Texas A&M, and they have to beat them, Cam, to force another game tomorrow against Texas A&M. They're going to have to beat them twice.
Yep.
Similar situation for Florida State, who's going to play in about a half an hour against Tennessee. They have to beat them twice over the next couple days to punch a ticket into the final. Let me give you the rest of the afternoon baseball too, Cam. 3-3, Cardinals and the Marlins. That's going on in Miami right now. They're actually going to the bottom of the ninth. They've played some close ones over the past couple days. Padres lead the Phillies 2-1. Bottom of the seventh in Philadelphia. Harper does have a homer for the Phillies this afternoon. Scoreless in Chicago between the Cubs and the Giants. Bottom of the third there, although the Cubbies do have second and third with no out. The Braves beat the Tigers 7-0. First time this year I've seen Skubal really knocked around, Cam. He gave up a couple home runs, only lasted 4 innings as he got smacked around. And we mentioned the Reynolds homer in the bottom of the eighth. All the Pirates needed a 1-0, a quick getaway day win over the Reds there at PNC. One other afternoon game that starts at the top of the hour, Arizona and the Nationals in D.C. will have Brandon Pfaadt against Patrick Corbin in this one. Diamondbacks road favorites, heavy too, -175. You've got a big fat 9.5 total here, which is pretty standard, Cam, when you have Patrick Corbin on the mound, and Pfaadt's not that much better.
Yeah, Pfaadt's a little bit better than Corbin, but Corbin, this guy's rocking an ERA close to 6. Pfaadt's getting a little bit better, but roughed up earlier. I'm going to take Arizona in a parlay piece, Carver. I'm also going to lay 1.5 with the Snakes. I think they're going to go on a little bit run. I can't back Corbin. I know you take the Nationals. A lot of time they put money in people's pockets, but this is a pitcher with a 1-7 record and an ERA close to 6 I can't trust. So give me Arizona, and I'll have to take them on the run line as they're the road team.
Yeah, well, we will have to do that indeed. I got a couple taters in that game, Cam. We've got Christian Walker and Eugenio Suarez, hopefully teeing off against Patrick Corbin on the other side. Some big righty bats up against the lefty Corbin, who's given up a lot of taters so far this year. We also will discuss the Stanley Cup today. Cam, let me do this with you now because I'm not sure if I'll get back to the Cup with you.
Yeah.
Oilers win last night. They go back to Alberta. McDavid has really stepped up the last couple games. What's he got, Cam? 8 points in the last 2 games combined. He's been unbelievable. And I said this to you yesterday, Cam. When you get to that 6th game after 3-0, that's when the doubt starts to creep in on the one side and the belief starts to creep in on the other. And that's a bad combination if you're Florida.
Florida's a little bit cocky, Carver. I don't like the way me and Gabe talked about it on our show, talking about the why. Oh, we don't want to go back to Edmonton. How about you worry about taking care of business? And we talked about this yesterday on the show. You had to jump all over these guys. Edmonton, after an 8-1 win, jumped all over you. And Florida dominated the end of the game. Like, they were all over them, and they couldn't get that tying goal. You can't screw around in hockey. There's no time for 5-minute lapses or any mistakes. Florida has not played the game. They come out cold, and Paul Maurice is fuming. Now you got to go back to Edmonton in that environment, Carver. I'll tell you one thing. They better score first in that next game or that building is going to blow up. It could be absolutely insane. Edmonton fans were partying after they got 1 win in the series, let alone 2, and now coming back home to tie it up and go to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. Man, that city, that's what they got. They are living to party in Florida. You better take care of business. Carver, if Edmonton wins Game 6, I'm going to have to hedge my bets. I had these guys to win in 6, and now I got to go into the game. I got a lot of money on Florida in this series, and I can't screw around. I need these guys to finish the job.
Yeah, you're going to have – I think you're going to have to start thinking about it now, Cam.
I know.
Because the number's not going to be there for you if they do end up winning this 6th game. And I saw people talking about this today, and I think I'm with them. I know it's happened, I think, 5 times in playoff history. I think McDavid's getting that Conn Smythe whether they win or lose now, Cam, with what he's done in this series. I think that he's done enough, and nobody on Florida has kind of pushed themselves ahead that far that even if they lost on Friday or Monday, they're probably going to give it to McDavid, the Conn Smythe.
Yep.
We haven't seen that since Jaguar with the Ducks back in 03. The last
Good
time
call,
that we
Carver.
saw that.
I should have hit that damn cash out button with Bobrovsky. Pulled a Carver and rolled it into the goal. He's got no chance. No chance.
We'll come back. We'll get Gabe involved. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. We're back on the grid right after this.
crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a good switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to party in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
It's the BetMGM offer of the week. Get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. For all the games in the NBA Finals. Set your picks and shoot your shot. And turn any game into a must-watch. Download the BetMGM app, and it's on.
And we are back. Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us. Gabe Morency's with us every day on C2C. Of course, Sports Rage Late Night, weeknights at 10 p.m. East, right here on the grid. Gabe, as you joined me, you gave me the news. Me and Cam were just talking about this. He's got like a whole bunch of tickets on Scotland. He's got him plus this. He's got him outright. He's got him all over the board. Scotland on the board here, Gabe. 1-0 in the 13th minute. As they rifled one into the box.
A lot of trends going on in this Euro Cup from a betting perspective that I'm missing out on, actually. And people are even tweeting me. I got tweets earlier this morning about Morency. The goal in the first 20 minutes keeps hitting. We've seen a lot of early goals, actually. And another thing that we've seen is own goals. And, you know, the definition of own goal, you know, if it went off the defender, it's kind of unfair because an own goal to me is, you know, you turn around and you kicked it in your own net accidentally, right? We've seen some really crazy own goals over the years before, but there's been a lot of goals, man, where players just like drill it. Very similar to hockey, Carver. They tee it up, man, from the blue line, and they know. It's like the force that these dudes can kick the ball with now and the speed. What are you going to do if you're a defender? Right? The ball hits you in the leg, it ricochets, it goes into the net. Like, you know what I mean? You're damned if you do. If you get out of the way, it's going to go into the net. So it's one of these deals. But yeah, Scotland gets an early goal, technically an own goal, but 1-0 Scotland, 16 minutes in. And, you know, I like Scotland too. I thought, you know, they had a team meeting after the game against Germany. They weren't as bad as that. They lost 5-1. The wheels fell off. And they even admitted, they said, I read a lot of like British press and stuff like that because I'm a soccer guy, but F1 too. So I read a lot of British media and all that stuff. And the players had a team-only meeting, and I like their honesty, Carver. They admitted point blank. They said it was the opening match. It was in Germany. It was overwhelming. They said we got caught up in a moment, and Germany just sort of rolled us, and we couldn't stop it. We're better than that. And I was reading a lot of like Scottish greats, former nationals and stuff. We're all, but the thing is, it talked me out of it, Carver, because they all said, I think we can get a draw today. That was like the big thing. That was the big thing. They were like, you know what? I think we can show better and get a draw. No one in Scotland and England, no one out there said, oh yeah, Scotland's going to win today. It was like, yeah, they might be able to get a draw. So I bought in too. I was like, yeah, it's true. You know what? I love yesterday the Czech Republic plus 1.5. I love the 1.5, Mike, in soccer. Problem is they're a little pricey, and the Scotland one was way too pricey today. Then I'm like, you know what? I'll take Switzerland. It's only minus 110. That's actually the smart play. Don't get caught up in this Scott crap. And here we are 1-0. But as you know, bro, a lot of football left and a lot of crazy things happen in these games.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I just went to look at Switzerland now. You know, Switzerland are 3-1 live. And we've seen a lot of comebacks in these Euros already,
That's a great
too.
price.
I mean,
plus 300.
You've seen, yeah.
Dude, they tied this game before the half, Mike. It's 1-1. It's like, oh boy, suddenly turned around.
Gabe, even the draw right now is plus 220 for the draw. You know, that's a pretty good price as well.
I like that one.
I think you got a chance here with some stuff. There's a lifetime left in that game between Scotland and Switzerland, that's for sure. And they did give the goal to that guy on Scotland, Scott McTominay. So they did not credit it as an own goal.
Oh, they
changed
changed
the Swiss
it?
player. They gave it to him. So I wish they would have did that with Mbappe the other day. I would have been able to catch that Mbappe. But that was, like you said, that was a clear header by the defenseman who headed it into his net. That's more
an
of
own
an goal.
That's an own goal. You turned around and it was like you were scoring on your own net. Like, you know what I mean? You turned around in the wrong direction. He wanted to put it over the net, but that was an own goal. Exactly.
Can't
Just
complain
quickly,
about that one.
I'm sure you guys have hit this, but Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Yes.
There's been a lot of hockey stuff going on. Jacob Markstrom signing with the
There's been more
Devils,
trades. There's been more trades today than on the trade deadline. With Markstrom going to the Devils, Luc Dubois for Kemper going the other way. You had the Sharks making a deal with Dallas for that Ty Dellandrea. You had Gaudreau going back to the Sharks. Like, this is better than trade deadline. I don't know what happened today, but the NHL woke up.
Turned into the NBA almost. It's like, listen, we're going to lose this guy, so let's figure something out. You know what I mean? Like, that's true. I mean, it's just been, I've never seen anything like this. Normally, it's July 1st, and it's a big deal, and, you know, especially in the NHL circles, oh, what's going to happen? And, dude, I can't believe this, too. Pierre-Luc Dubois, Markstrom, like big names, but I figured Dubois would fit in perfectly in Washington, D.C. with all the politicians. They're overpaid, they complain, and they don't do anything. There's Pierre-Luc Dubois. Good for you, Washington. Good luck with him.
You talk about a guy who just gives you absolutely no effort whatsoever, and he complains. He's now complained his way out of what? Winnipeg, Columbus, L.A., and now he's going to be in what? Like, when does it end?
Think about it.
When does it end?
So what? Like, okay, like, no offense to Columbus, but I get it. All right, it's like, all right, listen, I don't want to be on the Columbus Blue Jackets, okay? I get it. No, and then even the Winnipeg Jets, it's like, all right, it's freaking cold here. These fans are insane. They know how much money I make, and they're all over me all the time. All right, what's your excuse? If you're not happy, you're on the L.A. Kings? I think this is more of a case the L.A. Kings weren't happy with him. They realized, listen, we're not going to pay this guy all this money moving forward.
Get him out. That's it. We'll come back, Gabe. I want to get a couple baseball plays, and we got to talk about Edmonton sending them back to Alberta.
I told you
Game
yesterday.
6 on Friday night.
I told you.
And me and Cam were just saying, I think now it doesn't matter what happens. McDavid's going to win that Conn Smythe. He's going to win it now, whether they win or lose. I think he's done enough.
Dude, I said that earlier in the week, and everyone laughed at me. Before I said, even if they lose, McDavid's probably going to win the Conn Smythe. Everyone laughed.
Not after 8 points in 2 games. They're not laughing anymore because he's going to go and get it. We'll come back and do all that with Gabe here on Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver High for Scotty. We're back. SportsGrid Radio right after this.
crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first LIV win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have us. Gabe Morency's with us, of course, Sports Rage Late Night, every night here on the grid at 10 p.m. East. All right, Gabe, Oilers send it back. The win last night, 5-3. Really the best game of the series so far, hands down. I mean, you had a little bit of everything in that game, including even the end was wild with Tkachuk stopping that puck at the goal line only for McDavid to then pot it in a couple of seconds later. That was the first high drama game of this final. And now, Gabe, it shifts to 6, where, as we were saying yesterday, when you were up 3-0, this is the point in the series where you start to doubt yourself if you were up 3-0, and it's the point in the series where you start to believe in yourself if you were down 0-3. This is where it all changes on Friday.
And we also talked a lot about the Edmonton Oilers getting better as series go on. In the past, and they really have. And here's some numbers as far as Skinner is concerned. Skinner in games 4 through game 7 in the postseason, 9-0, 1.56 goals against average, .938 save percentage. He's terrible in the games 1 through 4. And then there's something, I don't know, like, I look back. Okay, then forget about the Kings series. That was an easy one for them. They got through the Kings. Look at the Vancouver Canucks series. The Canucks, they had them on the ropes, bro, right? Canucks were up 3-2. Edmonton got really good in game 6 and game 7. It was like, man, where was this before? And speaking of which, goal Switzerland, Carver. How's that plus 300 looking?
There it is. Yeah, that's up in smoke
watch what
right
it's gonna
now.
Be right now. It's going to be minus 110 again right now or something. Let me see what it pops up.
Yeah, I'm opening it up right now.
I bet the under 2.5 like a chump. I'm in trouble
minus 105 for Switzerland. I think that's still pretty good. Minus 105. I think even getting them for that right now is probably pretty good. The draw is still plus 180 for that. And Scotland's plus 410 after. So they went from minus 200 to plus 410 off a given. There was way too much time left in that game for that to hold up.
Man, this Euro Cup is high scoring and wild, man. But I'll tell you one thing. The Panthers, listen, the Oilers have figured it out. They do get better, and we're seeing now, we kept waiting for McDavid really to take over, and as we're seeing right now, it's like, all right, I'm taking over. Like, he's skating around people. Like, he made the Panthers look like a peewee team last night a couple of times. Like, he literally went around, like, all 5 of them at one point. It was like tick, 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 tick. I'm going to go around you. I'm going to stop, go around you. Okay. Like, he's starting to make it look like a video game a little bit. He's getting better. And I love their theme. They had it up all over the room. Drag them back to Alberta. Drag them back to Alberta. That was the theme going into the game. We're going to drag them back to Alberta. They did. Now, though, Mike, the pressure changes. Now it's different. Before, the Oilers were playing with house money when they were down 3-0. Last night, it was more like, all right, we talked about it. You know, Messier talked about it, about, you know, there's kind of pressure on you when you're 3-1. You start to drift a little bit. You can start thinking about negative things. Here we are right now. There's no more overthinking. Playing psychiatrist is over for me now. Now it's just like, dude, there's 2 games left. And, you know what I mean? We waited. Florida wins 1. They win the cup. Edmonton win 2. We talked about the Oilers and their streakiness, man. All this stuff that I brought up earlier in the week, that everyone rolled their eyes out. Oh, okay, whatever. Okay, bring out some stupid numbers and stuff. Now everyone's like living and they're hanging. Oh, my God, the Oilers, you know, when they were down and their streaks after they lose. They've done this before. I think they're coming back. The Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup, and I think Connor McDavid will win the Conn Smythe. And even if they lose, you could win a bet with Connor McDavid to win the Conn Smythe as well. So I would split up the both bets, but it's going to be tough. The Oilers win on Friday. They're winning in Florida for sure after. Like, it's over. They're going to win for sure. Friday is the tough one at home, bro, in front of the Freaks at Edmonton. There's going to be a lot of pressure, Mike. Tickets are $2,000 to get in the last row.
Yeah, that's going to be some scene. And if the Oilers come out like they have the last 2 and score a couple of goals in the first period, because Florida's just not built for that. They are not built to climb
keep
out
up
of
and
2 and 3 goals. They need to be ahead. They need to play from the front. I got 30
seconds. You notice
seconds.
The Oilers aren't physically intimidated anymore either. They're like, screw you. They're pushing them off. They're like, Panthers aren't winning the one-on-one battles as much as they are in the corners anymore, if you notice either.
They're not. Any baseball tonight before we go? Man, did the Dodgers catch a break last night? They get the grand slam and then the check swing and then Teoscar Hernandez.
You can't make this up. I got bad luck sometimes, but I had a Teoscar Hernandez home run prop. I wanted to squeeze it in for you yesterday, and I actually hit the damn prop actually as well.
Nice.
Give me the Orioles tonight. Cole can't last forever tonight.
I like that too. I like that game. All right, we're back coast to coast right after this.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first LIV win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a good switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Of course, it is a Golf Wednesday on C2C as we have not one but two tournaments to get ready for this weekend. That is because LIV Golf is back in action. Myself and Brady Cannon have been with you before every LIV Golf tournament to look at the odds and give some selections, talk about the course, etc., etc. Brady, good to see you as always. Brady Cannon is our friend here on C2C. Brady, let me start with this before we even get into Nashville, because this is a big week for LIV, because not only do they have this great event at the Grove, they once again have a major champion coming off of a win. Brooks last year at the PGA, and now Bryson DeChambeau with that great win at the U.S. Open. And for guys like us, Brady, who not only bet golf, but we love the game so much, that was as good 60 to 90-minute finish as you could ever have watching a golf tournament. The drama was as high as I could ever remember. It was incredible.
Absolutely, Mike. It was totally unbelievable. I mean, I was sitting there tracking the in-game live odds, and it was Pick'em, and then Rory was the favorite, and then DeChambeau was the favorite, and then Pick'em, and then DeChambeau. It was absolutely back and forth with like every shot they hit. And then Rory gets out to a 2-shot lead. He's at -8. DeChambeau gets to 7. Rory misses a putt. Brutal finish for Rory McIlroy, and I feel for the guy. But hey, I mean, one man gathers what another man spills. Bryson DeChambeau took advantage of it. The shot, you could argue that Rory kind of lost it more than DeChambeau won it, but the shot at 18, man, championship shot, 55 yards from the bunker. You got to hand it to a guy for that.
I'm with you, Brady. I think that if he would have just went, lay up down the middle, lay up in the middle, lay up for a par putt, it would have been like, all right, Rory blew it. But Bryson had to hit a couple of, and I know the sand one is the one that's everyone's going to remember. I thought the second shot out of that nonsense that he was hitting it in all day, that native area where he was underneath the tree, basically couldn't stand up straight. I mean, just getting that close to the green, even though it went in the sand, I thought that was a hell of a shot by him also there on that 18th hole. Let's get to this week where Bryson's in the field. Obviously, it's LIV, but he's got to be tired. I mean, the guy's been everywhere the last 48 hours running around with that trophy, and God bless him, he deserves it. Tell me a little bit about the Grove here, Brady, which is where we're going to be this week for LIV. Of course, this is a Norman course, so, the Shark, of course, running LIV. This is one of his places. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, not to be confused with Michael Jordan's Grove in Florida. This one in Nashville, Tennessee. And like you said, designed by Greg Norman, a tree-lined property. There's going to be an emphasis, which we typically see with Norman designs. We see it at Mayakoba, which used to be a PGA Tour destination and now is part of the LIV circuit. And then also TPC San Antonio, which was also a Norman design that is still a part of the PGA rotation. And interestingly enough, TPC San Antonio, you had Norman as the designer, but the player consultant, kind of the right-hand man on that design, was Sergio Garcia, who you go to Mayakoba earlier in the year, a Norman design in Cancun, Mexico, where he finished third. So I think there's kind of this connection with Norman and Sergio, or Sergio on Norman designs. Maybe he kind of has an insight rather into how Norman kind of goes about his designs. My belief is you tend to have courses that favor driving accuracy. Greg Norman, when he was at his peak, number one in the world for, 3 or 4 years in a row, kind of before Tiger came on, he was probably the greatest driver of the golf ball in the world at the time. He was long and straight. And Sergio's kind of that ilk as well. So I think that's what you're going to find here at the Grove. Greens in regulation, driving accuracy, total driving. You have, if you want to do some research on this course has been a part of the Korn Ferry Tour rotation, I think 3 or 4 times. So you can do some research there and maybe see what type of player is having success at this golf course.
Let's look at some of the guys at the top, and then we'll get our picks, Brady. Of course, Bryson is coming into this as the favorite off of a huge win at Pinehurst. I was going to say he probably doesn't have much in him, but we saw Scheffler win the RBC right after the Masters, right? I mean, we've seen big emotional major wins and then suddenly go turn around and win the following week, although he won't be on my card. Neiman, Rahm says he's good to go after bailing last week with the toe injury that he's got. Of course, Brooks, Taylor Gooch, Cameron Smith, etc., etc. A good top of the field for us, Brady.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, DeChambeau didn't make my card either. It's part of the same reason I didn't play Xander Schauffele at the U.S. Open, trying to go back to back in a major championship. And there's so much emotion. You reach such a peak when you win a major to come back. And, Scotty had an off week last week, but he's still Scotty. He's amazing. Is Bryson DeChambeau going to win again the week after he won a major, the second major of his career, in such dramatic fashion as we kind of illustrated at the top of the segment? I don't think so. And, he really kind of shouldn't have won. Was he perfect around that golf course? No. So, and this course here, the Grove, probably even probably has more of an emphasis on driving accuracy, which we saw all week long at Pinehurst is not really the forte of DeChambeau. He only hit a little better than half of the fairways he played all week. So, no, he's not going to make my card.
He barely hit any on Sunday and still won. I mean, that guy he couldn't find a fairway on Sunday in that final round. Brady, let's go with you first. Who do you got for me at LIV Nashville this week at the Grove?
Well, I talked about the connection between Norman and Sergio. Sergio's been one of the hottest players on the LIV circuit this year. It was recently that he lost in a playoff to Dean Burmester, has a number of top 5 finishes this season. And I mentioned that second place finish at Mayakoba, another Norman design. So I'm going to take him here. I like the way he is very good off the tee as far as accuracy, and he hits greens in regulation. When you look at his stats on the LIV Tour, he is 4th in fairways found at driving accuracy and 3rd in greens in regulation. So I took Sergio at 20-1. I also took Louis Oosthuizen at 20-1, who really got the year started off really hot, but now has kind of slipped under the radar a little bit. He is 2nd in driving accuracy on the LIV Tour, number 1 in scrambling, and number 2 in putting. And then I went back to Dean Burmester. When you and I started these LIV clips, Mike, Burmester was our first winner. We nailed him at Doral, Miami, and that one I landed on him because of his driving length. But you know what? The guy's fairly accurate as well and is very good at greens in regulation. He finished 3rd at LIV Mayakoba. He's 9th on the LIV circuit for greens in regulation and 8th in scrambling. And then I went with a long bomb. Triple digits when there's only 54 guys in the field is a pretty juicy price. 100-1 on Caleb Surratt, who was 13th at LIV Mayakoba. So I'm just going to say, hey, maybe he's a good fit for the Norman design. I think the price is a good value, and I'll take a shot at him here to see if maybe he can clinch, a win here in Nashville.
Brady, me and you both had Carlos Ortiz, of course, in Houston a couple of weeks ago. So me and you match up again with Sergio this week at 20-1. So that's the one we're going to be rooting for the most here. Me and you, Sergio, 20-1. Let's both go to the winner's circle again. I think Hatton played great last week. I know he let go of the rope a little bit on Sunday, but he's in good form. Gooch has been waiting around watching all these guys play. He's going to play well. And Paul Casey, I like on a course like this as well this week. Brady Cannon with us.
Great I thought long and hard about Casey, Mike. Casey's a good pick.
Casey's on the board. Adam, Brady, let's go. We're back coast to coast right after this.
crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first LIV win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogeys, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
And we are back, Ferrall, Coast to Coast, here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Cam Stewart in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Of course, BetMGM, they have got you set up for the soccer here. Up to early payout. Get in on the excitement of summer soccer with BetMGM's early payout markets. Avoid last-minute penalties and win your wager if your team takes a 2-goal lead. What do we got to do? Select any Euro or early payout market. Select any match that you want. Scroll to the match result market with the early payout tag within that match. Place a regular time bet on either team in the match result market. If they take a 2-goal lead, your bet will be paid out early as a winner, no matter the result of the match. Unbelievable. Go to BetMGM.com or the BetMGM Sportsbook app to get the full details. It sounds great to me. Up to, and you go walk into the window before the game even ends. We were discussing this soccer game that's going on now, Scotland and Switzerland. Cam was happy earlier. Scotland got the early 1-0 lead. And then it's funny, Cam, Gabe came on, and me and him started talking, and we were like, man, I mean, they got the Swiss at plus 300 here. There's like 80 minutes left in this game. I mean, there's a lifetime left here. And sure enough, they end up scoring and evening this thing at 1-1. They're getting close to the end of the first half there. Cam, we will do our normal Golf Wednesdays right here, right now, me and you, as we get ready for the Travelers Championship, TPC River Highland in beautiful Cromwell, Connecticut. And this is the third heavy hitter event in a row, Cam, which I think opens some things up for us here. We had the Memorial, we had the U.S. Open, and now another elevated event. Are some of the big dogs going to be, let's just face it, Cam, not as into it? This is the end of a tough stretch for them. They see a couple of weeks off because, you know, a bunch of these guys, they're not going to be at the Tractor Tournament or the Rocket Mortgage here the next few weeks. They're going to be getting ready to go across the pond for the Scottish and the Open. But Scheffler is here. Rory has already skipped town, as we discussed yesterday. He's not playing. We've got Xander, Colin, Aberg. You like how they changed the name. Every event, Cam, they pronounce that guy's name differently. So since Dan Hicks went with Aberg, Oberg, we're gonna go with that too. Cantlay, Victor, Matsuyama, and Russell Henley at the top of the Traveler board.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something too, Carver. On a short course, it brings in a lot of guys like the 80 to 1s, the 100 to 1s. I even have a bomb at 200 to 1 this week. This is the thing. It gives a lot of guys a chance to do well. It's about the putting, right? And a lot of these chalky guys, I'm going to take guys in good form that need to play well. So I know we both talked about our boy Cantlay. Out of all those guys on top, and I look at the numbers, he has a great track record here, and he's really rounding in a form, and a win would do him well. So out of the chalk, he's my guy.
Yeah, that's where I'm looking as well, Cam, as we get to this. And listen, bombs have hit here. Even last year, an elevated event, Keegan Bradley was 75-1, and he won this event. So I feel like a lot of these guys who maybe haven't had as high stress, they could be live this week. I think guys from 50 to 150 are going to be very much in the mix. Maybe, Cam, kind of like what we saw in January, right? We saw a lot of bombs early in the year on the PGA Tour, and I think that we could get to that this week. But I am going to take a couple guys at the top, Cam. Why don't we start here with my outrights? I would never back Patrick Cantlay, but I saw a little something out of him last week, and you combine that, Cam, with his sparkling history at TPC River Highlands, where he has tons of top 10s, top 5, 2 years ago in the final pair, and he imploded on Sunday. I think he'll be in the mix this week. 22-1 is where I got him. Mr. Burns also coming in with some really good form. 30-1 for him. Sahith Theegala should have won at this place 2 years ago, and he blew it on the 18th hole. 33-1. Brian Harman, another guy with a boatload of top 5s and top 10s in this Travelers event at 45-1. And Max Homa, Cam, I know has not been playing well, and I generally don't like to take guys who aren't playing well, but when was the last time, Cam, you saw Max Homa up on the board at 70-1?
It's ridiculous.
That's a very big price for him, Cam, and I'll take my chances.
I agree. Max Homa, it's a short course, too, and the one thing he can do, if that putter gets hot, he could be right in the mix. I'm with you, Carver. I got a lot of American flags there, buddy. Your July 4th picks came early. I got a lot of USA and one Austrian. World Cup style. Patrick Cantlay at 20. You got a better number than me. Mr. Burns, we're reading each other's mail. Perfect type of course for him. Sepp Straka is my guy. When everybody else lets me down every week, Sepp Straka comes through in my matchups. He's my friend at 45-1. JT Poston at 80. Sneaky good fit for this course, Carver. Remember the Postman? I had him before for the first round. Couldn't get 4 rounds in him, but I think he'll be there. And Andrew Putnam checks a lot of boxes for me at 200-1. He'll play well there. He's not a long hitter, but he's very straight, and it's all about the putter with Putnam. That number is ridiculous. He should be around 120, 125, not 200. So I like those picks.
Yeah, you know, the 200 was pretty surprising to me as well, Cam, for Andrew Putnam this week. Especially when you just look at the field. Like, I get the guys at the bottom, you know, Malnati's at the bottom at like 400 or 500 and all that. There's only 71 guys here this week. And if we're talking like we think somebody from that range can be around on Sunday, a guy like Andrew Putnam with 2 bills, who's got a lot of top 20s this year, he could be the guy to look at. Let me give you my placements, and then you could do yours after the break. Sure. Here we go. Ludwig A. Berg, plus top 10 for him. He's a top 10 machine at plus 120. Tony Finau playing great golf, plus 230 for top 10. Corey Connors playing well. I thought about adding him to the outright card too, Cam, with Corey Connors, plus 130. I don't think Keegan Bradley can go back-to-back, but I will play him for a top 20 at plus 140. Akshay's playing well. And how about the Todd father with a little bomb for a top 20 at plus 340 this week?
I think those were mine, Carver. I know we're on some of the same bets there, but I'll tell you something. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I'm playing your guys as well. I'm telling you, Brady told me, I know he's calling you from his dungeon on vacation, Corey Connors is a pick he likes outright this week. And I'll tell you, on a course like this, Corey Connors is going to be murdering fairways and going in with a lot of wedges, Carver. So let's talk about Corey Connors in the top 10 and 20 markets. Love it, buddy.
Not going to lie to you, Cam. Me and you have so many of the same guys. That one was yours because I looked up and I went Nicky Dunlap also for the big bomb and Harry English. So we'll add those when we come back, Cam, after the break. Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Cam Stewart in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Golf Wednesday is getting ready for the Travelers. Tomorrow, we'll give you an update on the baseball as well. A few things happening there. We're back on the grid right after this.
crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
I mean, the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to par in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogeys, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
And we're back, Ferrall, Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday, Golf Wednesday. Carver High and Cam Stewart in for Scotty on SportsGrid at SportsGrid Radio. All right, Cam, as we said, me and you have so many of the same guys. They threw that up there, and I ran with it because I've played so many of these guys before. I have Xander T5 at plus 170. He loves his place. He's won here before. Corey Connors, that's who I thought. That's what really threw me off, Cam, when I saw the T20 on the last one. I was like, I got Connors for a T10. Let's go here. At plus 260, I got Tom Kim for a top 10. There's the Keegan, which was the same, top 20. I just got a better number than you. Harry English always plays well here at plus 210 for a 20. And I feel like Nicky Dunlap, Cam, has also started playing a lot better. You know, he won that tournament, turned pro. You know, was at the bottom, missing some cuts, but now he's started to hang around in the 20s and 30s and on these leaderboards. So I'm going to go with him with a nice price with only 70 guys in the field for a T20.
You know me, Carver. I've been on Dunlap for the last 3 weeks. What happens when I'm not? The good things are going to happen. I have to add Dunlap to my card. He's got too much talent, and this is the type of course that he will do really, really well on. My guy's the same thing. I love Aber for top 5 and a 10. Finau, I think, can win. He's in better form at plus 230. Here's the deal. I'm going to ride you with Connor's top 10, but I like that top 20 market in case something goes bad, like Tom Hoagie usually screws us on Sunday. Bradley, you got a better number. Ashke Patea is playing really, really good golf, Carver. He's really coming into his own, plus 170. And the Todd father, he hits it nowhere, but it doesn't matter here. He hits it straight. Plus 340 for a top 20 with our boy Brendan Todd.
And here's why I had the Todd father as well. The first round leader bombs for the Travelers Championship tomorrow. I never do this, Cam, but I'm doing it tomorrow for some reason. And look, this probably means he's going to be in the mix on Sunday, which none of us are going to want. But I feel like after last weekend, Scheffler's going to come out kind of hot at this course tomorrow. So I'm taking a flyer. I never do chalk on first round leaders, but 11-1 for Scotty Scheffler. Tagala at 30, Sepp Straka at 35, Captain Kirk at 65, Ben Griffin at 70. There's Andrew Putnam, Cam. I told you I have him involved at 90-1 for first round leader, and the Todd father at triple digits with only 70 guys. I'll take my shot.
I'm going to sprinkle there. I love your picks there. Chris Kirk is a notorious fast starter as well, and I think this is the type of course he can go low on. Colin Morikawa has come out of the gate very hot in a lot of tournaments. He's been the first-round leader a lot. I'm there at 20. Tony Finau, we talk about form. I think he continues with a great start at 30-1. I'm on Tagala as well. He's like a horse that busts out of the gate with no traffic, 32. Patea, I've told you, this kid's getting better and better every week and more confident. I really like him at 55. Here's our salmonella sandwich. It's hot out there, 100 degrees. I left my hoagie in the sun, and I'm still going to eat it, Homer Simpson style, at 60-1 because I can't resist a good hoagie sandwich. And Captain Kirk has always been a friend. Let's have some sex with some space aliens at 65-1. I'm in. Beam me up, Scotty. Beam me up.
The Travelers Championship,
yes.
Cromwell, Connecticut. I'll be there on Saturday, Cam,
Good for you, Carver.
for round 3. So you know I'm going to be heavily involved. And I don't play a lot of matchups. I will on Saturday.
Can you give Matt Fitzpatrick a message for me? You tell him.
You want me to do that? Hey, quickly, Cam.
Yes.
Quickly. Me and Brady did the LIV stuff, and I know you get involved as well. I have Sergio. I have Gooch this week. I am on, what else do I have for the LIV this week? Oh, and Paul Casey.
You had Hatton?
Paul Casey and Tyrrell Hatton. Those are my 4 for LIV Nashville. Me and Brady both like Sergio. Can we get you on board with Sergio here?
Yes, you can. Sergio and Greg Norman, you guys brought up good points about this course. I think Sergio actually, he played really, really well last week. Under the radar, nobody really talked about it, right? So Sergio's in very good form. And another thing is Paul Casey, your other pick. I was looking at him all the time. He gets no respect at this course. And I have one for you on the European Tour. My burger, burnt, well done Wiesberger at 20-1. I did the math, and this guy really, really starting to play good golf, and he needs to make up some points on the European Tour. I love this field. Burnt Wiesberger is lethal to me at 20-1 this week. I smashed him, Carver. I put $50 on him to win. Usually don't do that on the European Tour, but
I'm in. We have, of course, the KLM Open here this week on the DP World Tour. Your boy, Matty Wallace, the favorite, Cam, at 14-1 on the DP World Tour. This actually is a pretty good field this week. Soderberg, Rasmus Højgaard, Guido Migliori is there.
I like Guido.
For you. Kanaya, Luke List playing a DP World Tour event. How about that? Good.
I got to tell you,
field here. All right.
We like taking Wallace at 60-1 plus. I'm sorry, I can't lay 14, but I'm down with a nice burger at 20. That's for sure. And Wallace, you got to be more than that. Sorry, can't.
Cam, tremendous job. Padres beat the Phillies, by the way, 5-2. That's a final now, and the Marlins beat the Cardinals 4-2-3. Hour number 2, Ferrall Coast to Coast. We're back. SportsGrid Radio right after this.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
sort
Night.
Of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
1.81 goals against average, 9.20 save percentage. He's also 6-2 in his last 8 road starts as well. The Oilers are. The Oilers are a great road team. I actually think it's an advantage for them that they don't have home ice, that potentially 4 of the games are on the road. We've seen 56% of the games this year in the NHL playoffs, the road team has actually won.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
8 playoff games at home for Boston in Beantown. They are 6-2 straight up.
The wild card, I would say, in this game is not necessarily, well, what are we going to get out of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Brown, and certainly Tatum. It is Kristaps Porzingis to me, because we're not getting back a player that's like, hey, rotational guy. Like, remember when Derek Lively went down with an injury? He was playing well, but a young player, like a piece.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.